I already know I made a must-watch on 2P Hero X because it's definitely a must-watch. To me, it's one of the best anime to come out this season. I know you put it as Chinese, whatever, shut up, okay? It's amazing. It's well written. I love the characters, I love the world, the setting, the plot, the synopsis, all that, in the execution. Something like this usually don't work when you have a variety of characters. With so many packed characters within a show, let alone a season, very few can do it. Such as Negima, Bakuno, Assassination Classroom. When you have a show of a bunch of characters, it's hard to really keep track of those characters and for you to remember and think about those characters. To be Hero X does it because everything is connected like a domino, which is genius. And the reason why I want to talk more about it is because of what happens afterwards. Watching the other lists that were happening, especially anime trending, this anime was not on anyone's top 10 list in a good while, despite how better and better it was getting each time. Not to mention, this show has true purpose. If you watch the show yourself, you realize that the show, mostly from the very beginning to near the end, the show would turn 2D to 3D here and there. And people thought that was just a cool effect. But no, this was a purpose. This was a cause. The reason why things were going 2D to 3D was for a good, very good reason. Because it was X's power. The entire time we were watching it going to 2D and 3D is because X was snapping his fingers. In this world, everything is gained by trust and value. The more trust and value people put into you, the more powerful you become. You have a chance to become a hero, rise up the rankings, and when you reach the top 10, you enter this very tournament, and you win the tournament, you become X. You're no longer number 1, you are X. You are the top hero. However, there is fear if someone remains X for a very long time, they might gain powers of a god, and they become completely uncontrollable by the corporations and the organizations, have no strings attached to them. And the last time someone gained so much faith, they completely almost wiped out all of humanity and had took the strongest heroes to take them down. So seeing someone as powerful as X with no identity to the public makes them very mysterious. No one knows who he is, what his powers really can do. However, towards the end you find a little bit more about him, but not enough to keep you wanting to come for more. It's beautiful and well written. Of course, the other characters as well. Now, some of them are not very hero-like, as you can see. On the surface levels, you will have this distinction of these characters through the top 10 rankings, but then you realize there's more to them. Some is very bad, some is very good. First, you find out about Nice and who Nice is. Then you find out about Isol, find out about Lolly, Queen, and all these characters, and where they come from, and what their ambitions and goals are throughout the series. And everything, like I said, connects as time goes on. And the thing about this is that you have a fusion of 2D and 3D working to a show. It only works so often. Every now and then it works. For instance, there are times where you have 2D and 3D together. For instance, live action in 3D, such as Ace Lightning. Or you would have a switch up between the two, like Code Lyoko. When they're in the real world, they're 2D, but when they went to the digital world, they became 3D to show the difference between the two. Or even Out of Jimmy's Head. If anyone remembers that show. Out of Jimmy's Head was a crazy show. And yeah, it was about a kid who, it was a terrible show. It was a terrible show, but it at least had an interesting concept. It's done before, but this one strikes another purpose. It's through the powers of X himself. And seeing what happened, we were only being fed a bit, even for one season. 24 straight episodes. People wanted to see X. Where is X? Who is X? Because that's the only thing you see. Even when you watch the opening, all you see is X. This guy who seems to be in control of everything. But there's a reason why they didn't show X throughout the series. And that's because he's too much. When X finally was the true star on the stage, he absorbed everything. Everything. It didn't even matter. The guy was walking in, he was sitting, he was eating. You just want to see what this guy was up to. He would grab your attention. And oh boy, when he starts getting into action, I mean, this dude was a reality warper. He snapped his fingers, things go to 2D and 3D. And not just the regular 2D, because usually when you're watching a show, you see a distinct kind of 2D when you're watching the show. But then the second last episode, episode 23, when it was about the dog, it was still 2D, but it was a different kind of 2D. Yeah, it wasn't the typical 2D you were used to watching. So it was very interesting seeing that happening. So he didn't just make things 2D or 3D. He would do different versions of the art, different styles. Sometimes even see pixel-like things happening as well. This guy could just take you and make you graffiti on the wall. He could just do whatever he wanted. And after the other characters, let's talk about that. The other characters, from Nice to Isol's story, is where mainly the 2D and 3D was really happening at the very beginning. It's because these were different parts of the show that was happening later down the line. Where now his story actually started very close to the very beginning of the show, well, in the present time, where Isol's was way back then. And you gotta connect when the show happens, what part of the story was like a timeline. Dice's part was very near the present, and Isol's was towards the very beginning, where it's showing what happened to each character. Then it went to Lucky Cyan's story, which was where it stayed as 2D all the way up to, I want to say Dog, but it went more into that as well when it focused on Dragon Boy. Just a hint when it showed it on Dragon Boy. But other than that, you had Lucky Cyan's, then you had Queen's story. Queen's story was great. Then people say it fell off when it was trying to intertwine three characters, and that was Ghostblade, Lolly, and Little and Big Johnny. Their stories were mainly intertwined to a certain event that causes a certain tide to happen within the story. I won't spoil it, but events happened that led a true turning point within the current story for most of the heroes. And because of that, it led some heroes to their downfall and led others to their rise. Others seeking answers and others seeking revenge. But either way, it changed the story for the main part. Other people say it was a very slow part of the series because it dragged around and was repacing itself too many times. It was backtracking here and there where, like, I've seen this scene already. I've seen it and I don't care for seeing it again. But after you get through that part and it continues on with the other characters, it starts to get really interesting again when it shows Dragon Boy and so on and so forth. There's so much to this world with alien technology, this energy substance with value, and then there's fear, there's alien technology, all of this stuff. There's just a lot to the lore that I've been opening. So people wondering, will there be a season 2? I believe so, but it all determines on your vote. There's a Chinese website out there where you vote on your favorite hero. And right now, Ling Ling is in second place compared to X. He's very up there, surprisingly. And what you have to do is, when you vote, will determine how season 2 will go. Because at the end of season 1, they kind of took snippets of what they want to do in season 2. And wow, it would be nice to see current events happening, and future events happening. No longer just backtracking or origin story stuff, but we get to see what happens afterwards. What is X's plan? Where did he get his powers? How does he have so much trust? Why is he so powerful despite no one knowing anything about him? What happened? Well, hopefully in season 2 we get more of these answers. It seems like we will. When season 2 happens, when will it happen? It'll take some time. But I am excited, man. Everyone's talking about soul leveling or the lore of mysteries and all that stuff. But for me, to be Hero X is where it's at. It's nice. It's wonderful. So anyways, that's enough glazing about the show. Just go out and watch it, man. I might get someone maybe a figurine of X somewhere on XC and have him up, snapping his fingers and stuff like that. That would be nice. But anyways, that's all I got for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, hit that bell icon. This is Madcrownxox on Anime. Signing out.